70,000 and 70,000 and 70,000 faces looked at him from the snow. They were all him. They were all him, looking to him for guidance. They were all him, looking to him for guidance, to be their savior. But he was them. The bison walked overhead with pelican legs
It could never hold the weight of the pressure.
What's worse, it had an Allentown on its shoulders. A whole town of Allens being ferried into the fire across infinity.
Welcome to the official companion podcast for Buffalo and the Multiverse, the only podcast where you hear all about Mafia, Buffalo versus the Multiverse. I'm your host, Cory McCants.
I'm Travis, the creator.
And we are here to talk all about the bills, about stats, about this book, and what inspired Travis to write certain chapters. You'll hear Easter eggs, things of that such. What you just heard was a clip from our current chapter, chapter 11, where the bills go to Notown.
Yeah, so just a reminder of what happens in Camp Notown. So the Bills are fever sick and injured, and when Josh Allen wakes up, he finds that Allentown is buried in 80 inches of snow. They don't have a fort. Fort York is burned, so the entire community has to hit the road and find a new place. So they end up in a post-apocalyptic Detroit, which is called Notown, and where they end up facing a pack of demonic dogs and then a robotic lion, all right before Thanksgiving, losing our boy 4-0 along the way.
That was a great breakdown.
Thanks,
I told you, you're much better than I am at that. So let's start with just a little bit of the real life games, I should say, that happened in between this time. So week 11 and week 12. Yeah.
So back in the day, I mean, the real news is what kind of happened off the field. We got snowed on like crazy. I called it Snowvember. It's under dispute if it was a Snowvember. The other major Snowvember had happened a few years ago. This was 80 inches of snow in November. Call it what you will. 80 inches, for perspective, Josh Allen is 77 inches. So taller than him by 3.
Man.
It's crazy. But also, if you were in the Bills locker room, you would have remembered that almost everybody got sick. After the Vikings game, like some sort of virus went around. And so they had canceled practice, I think 1 or 2 days for sickness. And then the storm hit and everyone was snowed in. And we couldn't play our home game against the Cleveland Browns at Highmark Stadium. And so they very quickly pivoted to making a faux home game in Ford Field in Detroit. Josh gets, and many of the players get dug out by their neighbors and Mafia folk. In particular, just fun for us, 2 of the co-founders of Pan Am, the Braun family, they're neighbors to Josh Allen. So the dad, father figure, Mark Braun, and his friend Squirrel are the guys who went up Josh's driveway with the tractor and got him out. And we will give them some literary love for getting our quarterback ready to go to Detroit. The Cleveland game, Josh was definitely feeling his injury. I think maybe had 1 touchdown, but it was not his day. It was Tyler Bass's day. Tyler went 6 for 6, just 3 points at a time. Mm-hmm. We would get mostly up the field, have to kick it. But playing Cleveland, our defense held strong enough to them that was enough for a win. And then the next week was the Thanksgiving game. Many of us will remember watching it with our families. Became very dramatic. Bills squeak by, but it's only with an incredible final drive. In the last minute, the Detroit had taken the lead, and there was to me, the defining play is this Josh Allen pass, maybe like 30, 40 yards to Diggs through zone coverage. I think there's like 3 Detroit players who all are converging, and somehow Diggs is the guy who gets it, which leads to the game-winning field goal, which makes Bass 8 for 8 of this Detroit period, and the iconic Diggs Josh hug that was on T-shirts and signs and memes all
Walls
over.
and everywhere, yeah.
Someday I hope you hug your wife the way Josh hugs Diggs. That was an interesting moment for that relationship, which we can get into. But yeah, and then they got to eat the 6-legged turkey, have the turducken, and we all got to enjoy a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Woo! Bills got away.
So the Bills are coming off of 2 dubs in this stint here. Yeah. Okay. So did we talk about?
We didn't. I want to actually go into that first clip. So things are just kind of weird and crazy. So we are in the fever dream of Josh, and we talked about poetry before with the Ravens. This is like a fun, like Madhouse version of a poem, which we won't break down every stanza, but almost word for word is these like twisted callbacks to previous chapters, literally trying to create a fun fever dream for Josh. And by fun, I mean kind of twisted. Just tried to create like a surreal scene. All of Allentown is being held up by a bison with these really thin, Salvatore Dali legs on a bison being carried around and so forth. So he's feeling the pressure in his nightmare. And as alluded to, he's dug out by a squirrel. In our world, it's a literal squirrel. And I even mention that it's a brawny squirrel to give Mark Braun some love, too.
The art looks amazing. Again, for those that don't have a book, you got to get a book because this is like half of the journey. But the visuals of Allentown on the back of this giant, this thing looks so cool. Cool, but also like bizarro world, amazing. And then seeing Josh buried in all the snow with a squirrel sitting on top of his head. It's just so visual, but so of this multiverse.
Yeah, that's where like AI is famous as always, especially in this period for hallucinating, and it was fun to like lean into that to say, like I had a vision for this book that every chapter would be a different genre as much as possible, and that like we could experience different art styles as well, because you don't want to just flip through the same thing all the time. So keeping it fresh. Yeah. So we're having a little bit of a surrealism moment.
Fire in the hole!
Cannon kicked, and the iron ball rocketed on fire in a twisting sailing arc through the mountains. Every metal plate and glass splinter reflected the flames like 50,000 eyes. An eroded outcropping of station wagons was hit at the base, and the cannonball disappeared into the deep metallic mountain. Before the dogs rounded the final corner, the scraping screams of metal sealed the path shut.
That's 4.
More barking. Even closer.
Reload!
In all, it required 6 perfect shots to reform the mountains. We find a Josh who has to give up more to the team, and the Bills are trying to start another adventure, a normal little like mission, and he's kind of like, no, I can't do it. I can't be what the team needs me to be. And so he's sort of starting to push the other side to be more conservative, and so we're seeing that journey, and it's Tyler Bass who steps up here. Yeah, again, goes 6 for 6. And in this world, just giving love to him and the gun crew, which is that lineman of defense and offense, making them a literal like Civil War gun crew who go through the positions of what it's like to fire a cannon, an old-timey cannon.
I'm always interested each chapter to see how you do it. I know you're going to answer, to what happened in real life, but I'm always interested in how it's going to come across. So when you say like, 6 for 6, that's a big deal. How is Travis going to show this, so to do it in that way? It took 6 of these shots, like all of that is just so great. And so at this point, like you mentioned, this, although it's all one chapter, it's a Detroit chapter. This is the Cleveland game. So this is us having to go against Cleveland and what it took, and that's the 6 shots for them. One of the things I noticed as soon as we got into this town was that it felt like Fallout to me. Like that's I literally said it to myself, like this feels like Fallout. And then you said post-apocalyptic, and I'm like, that sounds like Fallout. But and I'm there are more clips we'll show, but as we continue on, it's clearer and clearer that this was no accident, and I just love it. But that's why, like great minds think alike, great gamers play alike. I really do feel like that is just, it's a great mixture of fan service with like true artistry. So I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, the post-apocalyptic genre is awesome and feels like a really comfortable fit with Detroit. Not that dissimilar from Buffalo's history, but on a much bigger scale, and being the car manufacturing capital. I don't know how much it comes across, but the world that the Bills find that is abandoned is, of course, it's an abandoned city with the people mover and all that stuff moving around, but they make their home inside of Ford Field. It's literally called Ford Field. So in my world, it's like a fortress that is just a factory that just kept making Ford vehicles and stacking them up. No one was taking the cars out, so it just became these mountains of cars. I probably spent a little too much time developing the actual mountain and describing the different eras of vehicles as they're climbing up it. But I did enjoy that. Some of the humor of Fallout, but the tone of that post-apocalyptic. There's been so many great post-apocalyptic movies too, but Fallout always adds that little injection of humor and so definitely embracing that and coined a new word of fortified instead of fortified. It's fortified. So, and trying to, I guess bring out that feeling of like, it's a little disappointing to not have a home game, and so we're all going to make the best we can. I gave McDermott a nice little speech about, our home is wherever we are, and we're not in a junkyard right now. We're on the shoulders of giants, and giving some love as well in Thanksgiving time to the Haudenosaunee and the foundations of democracy that our country now uses, and thanks to them. And I don't know if it was a massively perfect fit for this area, but I just love our history, and I'm proud that like this is like, to me, the cradle of democracy was Western New York and Central New York, where they kind of created that. Benjamin Franklin, literally in the Seneca Falls, women literally were watching how the Haudenosaunee did things and said, I might steal some of that for my new government. Yeah.
I mean, I know. I'm very well versed in all of this stuff.
Does the audience know that Cory has this excellent alternate ego? Tell us about Cory and compact history.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what the podcast is about, but what he's referencing, I have the opportunity to host this really great show on PBS. It's also on YouTube called Compact History, where I get in depth with like local history, Western New York history, and how it's had a global impact. And so when you talk about the Haudenosaunee, our indigenous brothers and sisters, and you talk about the Six Nations, they literally set the blueprint for our democracy, for our government. So far as if you look at the back of a dollar bill, if you look at the eagle, our emblem eagle, you see that it's holding 6 arrows in its claw, and that 6 arrows is a direct relation to the Six Nations of the Haudenosaunee, because we got it off their backs. And so for Travis to even mention this kind of stuff, these names, and taking the time to be accurate with this stuff, it just brings a different level to this book. So even if you're a history buff, you can enjoy this. But it's this for everybody, man. Everybody.
I love that fact. I never knew that about the dollar bill. That's
yeah.
A little bit more respect to the dollar bill.
Yeah, right. I mean, history surrounds you and includes you.
And by global impact, I assume you mean this book.
Well, hello.
Yeah. We have one copy in Italy, so we're
out there, man. We are out there. That's what I'm talking about. International.
4-0 showed Diggs, Josh, and the gang the photo that his suit took of his attacker. Violent teeth, glowing eyes. The nightmare continues.
So
4-0's wounded.
Yes.
Yeah.
I chose this clip because obviously this is the segue into the next battle. But the way it comes across, you know what I mean? He's injured. They're like, what is it? We just defeated this one thing. And it's like, no, it's bigger. It's bigger. It's scarier. But still, the sound design, man, I talk about it every episode, but it's just so good. And if for some reason somebody's like on this episode and didn't see the other ones, go back and listen to these things. Go back and listen to Vikings. Go back and listen to episode 1. It's just so good, but it puts you in that world. And I don't know if this is everywhere. Maybe I'm thinking too deeply into it, but we've mentioned that this game is reminiscent of the video game Fallout. If you don't know Fallout, it's a video game about post-apocalyptic world. There's a bunch of them out now.
Nuclear war has happened, and Fallout takes place after the war. The people are emerging from the vaults. Some people have mutated in the lands, the wasteland, and then there's vault dwellers who are sort of your hokey 1950s energy people, kind of like children coming out usually.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of gore and a lot of humor.
Yeah, that's a really great description of it. That's exactly what it's like. And when you're going through the vaults, like as the vault dweller, as the hero, you're traveling through and finding places. There's always this underlying tone of like empty hall almost, because everything is vacant. It's 200 years in the future or whatever it is. Everything is vacant. And like you hear that in here, and so I'm saying maybe that's in other places, but you don't notice it. And because I know I'm seeing Fallout, I hear it, but you hear that like empty cave vibe and like the dripping of water, and it just puts you so the detail of it is what I'm getting at. Yeah. It's like just so meticulous, man. It is so great. But that was where I first heard it and was like, is that? Yeah. And so it just builds.
You're hearing actual reverb, so I just put reverb. So you are hearing the reverb of a hall, because we just entered the first vault, and yeah. So, and I like that you picked up that like they're saying like, no, it's bigger than a dog, because that's the code there is like, honestly, the Browns weren't that formidable. We had to be on point, but we could beat them with our kicker. Mm-hmm. This thing's bigger. The Detroit Lions are bigger. And it would be much, and so like starting to feel the tension of like what's coming, and they took out one of our biggest badasses, right? And literally, I don't know if I mentioned it, but torn ACL in real life, and that'd be the end of his season, and in a way, at the end of his career, he didn't quite bounce back, but as far as they're concerned now, it's end of career. And feeling that, try to dramatize that a little bit of like, all right, we got the door pretty much good. You just walk out, aim at the left. And he's like, oh, no, I can't move.
Yeah. I'm wondering, were all of these just, when you're watching the game, at this point, it wasn't week for week, right? You making the stories. It wasn't week for week anymore. You had some more time. Right. But when you're hearing this stuff happen, is it just going to the booth to be like, all right, let me focus in, lock in, and figure out what this is going to be? Did it come naturally? Like, how are you? Yeah,
it's tough. I mean, usually a lot of times when I'm watching the game, I still have no idea what it'll be. Like the Vikings, I did know, okay, they'll be Vikings. But usually I wouldn't know watching the game, and I would just be like talking to Meg, and I'd be like, what do you think they should be? Like, what would the Lions be? What would the Cleveland Browns be as a fictional world? And then you start to put the pieces together a bit more. So usually it's going to the booth, but the booth is a bath, and I play this awesome. I've been working on a collection of movie soundtracks since I was 10, so that just plays on shuffle. And if anyone is a writer or creative out there of any discipline, I think that process is electric for creating stuff, because for one, I don't know, I won't sell you on baths too much, but they're awesome. For one, mostly because the world goes away and you can just sort of like not get distracted. To me, I get very irritated when I'm writing or trying to come up with an idea. We used to have, to me, the best place in Buffalo to have a hotel, an apartment. At the corner of the Lafayette building. We had such a great spot. And I'm like, yes, 100%, putting my desk right here in front of this beautiful window that bumps out and looks at Niagara Square. And after writing there for about 2 months, I then switched my writing process to finding a abandoned hallway closet where the world could just become like dark and non-distracting. Because I would just watch people park all day. I'm looking down on them. they're parallel parking, and you have like this God's eye view of their parallel parking job, and you're like, oh, they don't have it, they don't have it, they don't have it, they don't know it yet. Boop, yep, they knocked it. Yeah, that car moved. And then you're like, where was I? Well, I can't remember anything. So anyways, in the not being distracted, I also think something chemistry, alchemy is happening when you're in hot water. And then to have a movie soundtracks playing on shuffle gives you this opportunity where like two scenes that you might recall bump into each other. Like a Wes Anderson like romp comedy sound effect then becomes like interstellar going to space. And you're kind of like, wow, those two worlds had never connected before. And I've been kind of dreaming about whatever you're fantasizing about. And it'll take you to these really interesting creative leaps. So there's a bit of random and a bit of inspiration all around. And so highly recommended next time you have writer's block or creativity blocks. Or
I'll take that. I'll keep it. I'm gonna put that in my pocket and save that, man. Gotta get the bath going. The how is always impressive to me because it always fits the story. And it's I think it's easy to have a story and be like, well, this thing happened and plug and play. All right, just let's say this happened. It's like, no, it flows with the story as if it was built organically in the story. And so that helps you believe it more in this fantastical world. Like it helps you believe everything more.
I know it's interesting how, and I say this as a consumer, not the writer, but like it feels honest in a way, even though it's very fantasy. And I really am proud that kind of came through. So got lucky, and it's so interesting too now because nobody knows this, but I'm developing a Sabres book right now, and have been challenging myself to like, how can I do this book better, and different, like what would a 2.0 version be? And it's funny that a lot of the things that I'm getting pulled towards are actually like dishonest things, because I feel like, I think maybe incorrectly, but I've felt like maybe this was a little too like cookie cutter and too predictable because we knew. So I'm like, maybe it needs a little more fiction. Maybe I need to like make their backstories a bit more complicated. And it's really interesting going through this process the last few weeks with you to like, while that's going on in the back of my head of like, you know, does he need a dark backstory that isn't really true to who he was? Is that actually better, or is it better to stay true to like their core? And I think the answer is obvious. Lie to them. No. So we'll see. But
Wow. I didn't know that you were writing a Sabres book. So this is like you hear it here first. That's gonna be epic. Is it about this season?
Yeah, it'll be about the drought and culminate in the playoffs, and we'll see. As of this recording,
Stanley Cup, baby.
As of this recording, we didn't know that we won the Stanley Cup already. But you guys do know that.
You in the future do know. Exactly.
Oh, that's great. He loaded it into his broken firearm and snapped out its built-in power rifle. Suddenly, his Pip-Boy glowed blue, and he noticed it recognized a weapon attached with blinking prompt on the screen called VATS. Josh pushed the button and swiveled the knobs to understand that the screen was highlighting various body parts of his target: teeth, eyes, torso, claws, and providing expected hit percentages and possible damage. As expected, one bullet wouldn't make any difference to an iron lion. But VATS showed something else. The latch on the trap door above the tunnel. 100% chance of a critical strike if he hit it. A trapdoor that flashed with lightning and thunder. The only catch? Josh had to fire through the silver body of 10,000 gears, all moving at once. The Pip-Boy couldn't do it for him, nor VATS. But the smell of Cheerios could certainly take credit.
Yeah. So I feel like I chose this clip.
Cory, why in the world? Someone who likes Fallout, who's done nothing but talk about Fallout. Like, I don't even know if the Bills are in this chapter, but it is a Fallout chapter. Why'd you pick the Pip-Boy?
Oh, man. This thing, when I heard these sounds, I can't tell you the reaction I had, man. The fan service you are doing in this thing is just incredible. And there's other references earlier in the chapter that I love, but I chose that one obviously because it's it, man. It's at this point where what are you gonna do? Again, I know we won, but how are you gonna show that? And so when you talk about the Pit Boy, I'm like, oh yes. And then you bring out VATS, and I'm like, oh yes. And so, like, I mean, you explain it well in this, but like, in reference to Fallout, VATS is a system that the Pit Boy gives, so the character, it like goes in slow-mo, and it shows you different parts that you can fire at for your enemy. And it shows percentage chances and all that. Like, you know, if I'm aiming for the head, I have a 40% chance. If I'm aiming for the torso, I have an 80% chance. So that's what he's using. And the only thing that's missing, I was like, is the mysterious stranger. Like, I didn't know if the mysterious stranger was gonna come out and help in this, but like, I'm like, man, this is amazing. So you often blend a lot of worlds together and a lot of media types together. You do, but in this one, this is just like the video game world meets. The Bills meets this, and there's a little bit of COD, of Call of Duty in it too. It felt like zombies a little bit as well. Not just that, but obviously I'm so stuck on that. But it just felt so perfect. So perfect, man.
Yeah. And and obviously what's happening is the shot. This is the big game winning shot that I mentioned earlier. And so our version of that, instead of going through 3 zone defenders, he's got to fire through the body of this robotic lion to get this perfect strike to unleash Diggs. And Diggs, I wanted him to feel a little heroic too, so he's riding a lion coming in, talking about intros and stuff. And, he's been kind of mysterious and goofy and starting to bring in that metaphor of him being a cat, especially in the cat lion episode. I feel like it is a really good description of Diggs. I was glad when Dion came up with that as a character. Because that's what he was. Yeah, they love you sometimes, and sometimes they scratch you, and you're like, what changed? Yeah. What changed? Unlike dogs, which we just got to cover. Did you know Milo, my dog, was the voice of the dog in the Cleveland episode?
I didn't know. I do know that there's a beagle in the book, and is that?
So that's Milo for sure. Yeah. That's Milo, because Milo, like all of us, lives in the multiverse in Mafia land.
I did not know that he was the voice, though.
He is the voice of himself.
That's interesting.
Because when I recorded this audiobook, every half hour, that exact sound effect would happen, and I'd have to pause where I'm at and let him bark, 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 bark.
You might as well use it.
Might as well use it. Yeah, so that's not even special recorded. That's just him interrupting me at one point. Also, the dog owners are there. I don't name them, but that's me and Meg.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone deserves a name, it's definitely you two, but I get it.
Yeah. I think we'll get our due at some point in this book. But you got to keep watching for that.
Okay.
We save the world. I'm glad you love VATS. Yes. Basically, every chapter is pulling from pop culture, pulls from real life. We did Miami and Disney from Miami Vice, Disney World, but those don't mean the same thing to you as this. So everyone's got their home, and I love that. I love the Fallout universe. You've noticed some of the hacking that happened prior to this. Yeah. We can hack our way out. Another gameplay element. I was a little disappointed in the audiobook how long it took for... This is meant... It's printed with all the terminology and the codes and the I guess we'd say like the computer codes, slugs. But it takes a long time to hear it. It's meant for you to just kind of like scan through it like you would an email with a whole bunch of like filler words on it. Yeah. And I was just disappointed when I was finally reading it. I'm like, man, I got to read all the coordinates. Most people wouldn't actually read like 4.2339924. They'd be like, oh, okay, the coordinates, okay, and then they keep going. Oy. So it's fun. Some things translate better and some things don't. But here's your behind the scenes moment. Ken Johnson, Pinto Ron, in his real life, is a very, very smart, genius level computer programmer. And so this was his chance to, and we wouldn't necessarily think that of the guy who cooks chicken wings with a hatchet and an army helmet on a car. You might think of him as a different type of character. Mm-hmm. His whole crew, actually, they're like surgeons and doctors and lawyers. Like,
really?
It's all people you might sometimes think is a little upper crusty. Mm-hmm. Not that I know them personally and could say if they are upper crusty or not, but they're all the guys cooking in the filing cabinets. If you don't know Pinto Ron's Tailgate, it's, filing cabinets, making pizza. It's trash cans with pop in it, and literally they're deep frying wings in an army helmet upside down, and they stir them with a hatchet and things of that nature. They cook bacon on a rake. There's a saw where they're cooking. And all of that isn't in an oven or a hygienic area. It's on top of a Pinto with little fires on it. So the car. Anyways, so that, for one, is giving Pinto Ron a moment to like translate Fortran code into Algol code and high-level hacking stuff. But also, this is his chapter to sort of play with some of that stuff of like where he got the Pinto. He's in a Ford Pinto. Maybe it's not where he originally got it, but when they have their Thanksgiving meal at the end, finally, like all of the cooking is done in the junkyard, and we think it's very scrappy, and it's all the different ways that Pinto is always cooking. So that's my way to give love to the Hammerlot. Maybe the last thing to say about that clip is to bring it home is that the smell of Cheerios is what, because someone's making that in a faraway land, and you can kind of think about this as we travel in Thanksgiving, and sometimes you can bring the flavors of home, and all the memories come right back. And I think Buffalonians, anywhere where they would smell Cheerios, would have a different association of like, that's home.
Yeah.
And that's maybe, in this case, worth fighting for, worth that final energy. So, so wanted to give that credit. So
that's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I love that. And I do think you're right. Being someone that's moved away, coming home to visit and going down being on the Skyway or something like that, it's just like, this is home. And so if I were to smell that anywhere else, I don't care if I'm in a bad mood or I'm sad or whatever, it's like, am I what? You know what I mean? So I totally can make that connection.
They're smaller than this fortified battle line. Diggs feared nothing as he commanded his steed into quite the show of acrobatics to keep it distracted. Josh took that opportunity to rush forward into the giant's side and pull exposed wires like puppet strings. The robot roared with its neck high, ready to strike down a knockout bite, when a 3-pound cannonball broke through its neck and twisting crankshafts. Big Iron screamed and celebrated with his final shot. 8 for 8 from the fortified mountain in the center of the wagon circle. As the colossal lion collapsed behind them and car parts erupted, Josh clutched Hollywood Diggs as tight as he could. Whatever had frustrated them in the past, he loved his partner, and that's what mattered. Nothing but thankful. So that is a fictional retelling of the final drive with that last minute left. That epic pass to Diggs has happened. Then Josh scrambles for a bit to get us into field goal range. Again, the clock is ticking, and that's that final run that Josh does on the side of the thing. Distracts it enough for the final blow from Big Iron. So 8 for 8. And then literally broadcast like cuts to the sidelines, and there's the iconic hug. So, and it is a very nice image for Thanksgiving and in that time of like, okay, we lost to the Jets and then to the Vikings.
Yeah.
But it seems like we still have some sort of magic. So this crazy season keeps going. And if I had to self-critique, nobody cares about this, but I'll say it anyway. No, I won't. But whatever. This chapter was too bloated. It needs another pass. This needs another pass.
Well,
it's not up to the standard.
This is 2 games. This is covering 2 games in one chapter. And I mean, as far as fantasy goes, it's similar, Bears and The Browns, I mean, yeah.
We've cut a long time ago, honey. Don't you worry. I love that podcast where they're like, yeah, this whole book kind of sucks.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't use that. But to go along with the Thanksgiving vibe and like you said, like that image of the hug, and I mean, for Bills fans to have won this game on this day, and then in the book to end in a very sitcom-esque way of like the dinner and. Yep. In the fallout, mutilated or mutated way.
Can I just interject really quick? For anyone who's not super familiar, maybe you're not here for the NFL, you're here for the other stuff. The NFL actually has a 6-legged turkey on Thanksgiving, which is, by all accounts, a mutated turkey, if we're supposed to believe it. And John Madden introduced the turducken, which is a mix of a turkey, a duck, and a chicken. So I don't know. Again, it's just one of those like, wow, that's so perfect for them to the only game they can pull out, and then to deep fry it on the side of a car. I mean, it just can't be.
There's nothing more Bills than this right here.
It's so crazy to be like, that's not the fantasy part. That wasn't fiction at all. Everything I just described isn't fiction. That's actually how people in America have Thanksgiving football.
Exactly.
I love it.
So normally at this part of the podcast, I would ask you a deep question to hear your answer. But I thought for this Thanksgiving special, I thought we would throw it back to that original interview that we talked about. So there was a question I asked you there that I thought would be perfect. And so let's let them ask the question.
Sweet. All
right. So this is like a little bit of a side step, but like how old were you when you think you fell in love with football or with the Bills?
Late. It was, like 20. So I got hired by the Bills. I was doing filmmaking and advertisement work in 2015.
Wow, okay.
In college, I got super micro-focused on, like, I need to be a specialist. I want to be a filmmaker, so I'm only going to watch movies. Nothing else. No video games, no...
no video games. My gosh, what are you doing?
It was wrong. I was 20-year-old. I didn't know, but, I was just like, I'm only going to be watching movies. My free time is movies. Because, and I also had this stupid attitude of, like, why watch sports? Because at the end of the year, it just all resets again, and like it didn't even matter. You know, who won the World Series in 2012 didn't matter because it started over again.
Yeah.
Unlike movies, which, those matter so much, you know, because they end and the credits roll. So it's totally just a thing. But so it was that kid who got hired by the Bills and the Sabres to help do video content for them, and. So it was kind of my first weeks of sitting. It was summertime, so there's nothing to do. Just sitting there teaching myself. I was embarrassed. I didn't know anything. They're like, so, you know, obviously Thurman Thomas. I'm like, yeah.
Right.
I know him too. Yeah. So like, okay. But yeah, so I started watching the documentaries and reading just tons. And then, you know, it's like everybody else knew already, like the characters, the storylines are just as rich, sometimes richer in sports and just as fun. So yeah, from 2015, it was full throttle.
Yeah.
It's fun.
You got bit by that bug.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of people, you know, the energy of the Bills was on its way up. You know, we were at the tail end of the drought. You know, Rex and Rob Ryan were fun and sort of like
yeah
they were, you know, keeping you, you know, which they were the medicine to get you through it for a while, and then this McDermott Josh Allen era, it's hard not to love it. I bet we doubled the fan base, you know, nationally.
I'd say so for sure.
That's that story.
No, I mean it's really.
What's your and there's no wrong answer. What's your Bills background history? Where are you currently?
Yeah. So I'm from Buffalo. So you know, growing up here, it was kind of like a, you know, no answer, like, or no question. You have to, you got to rep where you're from. But I tell you, when I really like in college, I would watch the games and I would realize like how difficult it is to be a Bills fan. Like it's easy when you're here because it's part of the culture, but it's difficult to root for the Bills, or at least it was. You know what I mean? Yeah. So to watch these games be so close, or to watch like the fourth quarter be like, what's happening? I thought we would like, and that was when I first fully understood like what it meant. These people who ride out there in 0-degree weather to cheer for this team that has shown the record that's like not the best. Like, I was like, these are diehard fans. So for me, it was really understanding what it meant to be a diehard fan, that I was like, how can you not be a part of this? Like, y'all have seen this record, and this has happened game after game, and you're upset like you didn't expect it, but you still riding for the Bills. Nobody can talk bad about the Bills. You can't wear that jersey. Like, so I was like, this is insane. And then I moved to New York, and something happened when I was away from Buffalo that made me need to rep Buffalo harder. Yeah. So when I moved away is when I really started to understand, like, I was like, I don't own any Buffalo gear because I was always here. Yeah. Like, I see it everywhere. Yeah. So when I left, it was Sabres, it was Bisons, it was Bills, it was Bandits. Like, I wanted all the gear, and like I wanted to rep hard. Like, no, I'm from Buffalo. Like, you know, and to live in New York, it's almost the opposite, right? Like, anywhere else in the world, when you hear about New York, or you hear about like Buffalo, New York, you think, oh, you're from New York. You think people want to claim the city. But being out there, I'm like, no. I'm from Buffalo. You know what I mean? And so I think those two moments are what solidified me. Like, no, man, you were by default a Bills fan, but like you truly do understand and love the Bills. And so now in my adulthood, seeing this Allen era is like, man, now it's, you know, before it was hard. Now everybody want to be a Bills fan. Like, hold up, back up. You know what I mean? Who's a real Bills fan? But so it's a little bit easier now. But yeah.
Isn't that interesting though? Like a lot of people like, their identity is shaped by the teams they like. But I think Buffalo, more than most places, is, you know, our identity is just locked in. There's not a ton. New York City, Atlanta, LA, you know, almost every other city have so many other things that you can latch onto and be
like, you know,
like, oh, well, I don't need sports because we have the Met.
We're this, we have
this, or it's all about fashion, or just, I don't care that much. People from Atlanta, I don't think are, you know, whatever. We'll see. But people who I've met and who've come in from out of town sort of have this like, whoa, like it's like kind of intense here, and like, you know, it's like, yeah, for some reason, and I think part of it is the kind of the shit that we've been through. Like, you're kind of always feeling like you're second fiddle or third fiddle or like 17th fiddle to everybody else, and you just, now that could be the Bills. You know, I think the Bills in the city rode a similar wave.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
And maybe the timing wasn't always lined up the same, but once were iconic and great, but still not over the edge. You know, like Buffalo at the time in 1900s was a very powerful, awesome place to be, but didn't quite, you know, become the capital of the country or anything. Sure, that's fine. Bills were great, and then, you know, these really low lows were just really hard, and, you know, people from town, you know, why would you want to live in Buffalo? Why, you know, get out as fast as you can. And when I came to, you know, I grew up in Chautauqua County on a farm. And when I got to Buffalo around 2009 to 2012, like the Renaissance culture was just starting. And it was great. And I felt like I was a very early adopter of that, of like, there was still like at Buff State, people were still like, I'm trying to get out of here as soon as possible. I gotta go. And to me, Buffalo was like pretty cool. I kept going downtown. I'd take the train down and be like, these buildings are incredible. Like, and the food is great. And part of that's just like, you know, small town kid, like starting to experience a city and getting to know it. And, you know, any new partnership, you're like, this is really cool. Yeah. So I was enjoying that wave. And like that always stuck with me of like, to me, this is all about the love and the depth. Yeah. You know, it's not just like, okay, did we win against the Ravens? It's more than that. Like, it's about our people. Like, it's about our super fans. It's about knowing this isn't just a sports metaphor. It's the metaphor of our city's ups and downs. It's our architecture. It's, you know, what character would our city be in a heightened universe? Not as good as we thought, but at least we got to hear it.
So with that, we are gonna end this episode of our podcast. I've been Cory McCants.
And I'm still Travis.
We thank you for listening. And Travis, real quick, can you tell the people how to find the book and audiobook and all that?
Yes, it's always available at panamericanfilms.com. And I hope to see you there. And I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Go Bills.
Go Bills.